Hello guys, how are you? It's me again, Zesta Herbal Soap Skincare and Lifestyle. I'm happy to be with you guys. I'm going to answer questions today, okay? Because answering questions individually, I find that if I answer this person maybe the next few hours or the next day, another person will ask me the same question. I'll be answering question. Kai. So at times it's better let me close eye. To reduce this single calling, it's better let me just answer some questions completely at once. Okay? So I have compiled some questions that, although it's one person that asked me all these questions, but the questions keep on reoccurring. And I believe I've answered these questions. But they are still asking. I don't know whether they didn't see the video or what, I don't know. But let me see answer again. Since it's not taking much of my time. Okay? Now, I'll list the questions, then I'll start answering them. The questions are: advantages of hot process over cold process. What is the function of alcohol in soap? What is the function of sugar in soap making? What will make my soap foam more? Okay. Another question is: what is the work of glycerin in soap making? Another one is: what does soda ash do to soap? What is the role of Stpp in soap? What is the role of sodium sulfate in soap? What does calcium do in soap? So I'm going to answer them one by one. And I'll try as much as possible not to take too much time. But before I answer, don't forget, our classes are always on. Our classes are cheap, they are affordable. I have some information. Will I keep them? What will I do with the information? If I hoard it, of what use is it to me? Some of the information, I'm not even using them now because I'm more into soap making and cream making. Then what am I keeping some of the information for? Do you understand? So I have some of this information and I'm willing to give you at a very affordable price. Some people are charging more for this. Some are charging up to 7,000. Some are charging up to 4,000. I'm not charging much. Highest 2,000 naira. Okay, highest 2,000. But my soap making is not 2,000 because I really put in effort and I know the experiments, I know the wastage, I know what I've gone through to gather all those information. My soap making is not 2,000 naira, but it's still affordable. The cheapest of my courses is cream making, 1,500. So join us. So now, what is the advantage of hot process over cold process? What is hot process? What is cold process? Are they the same thing? Yes. Basically, hot process and cold process is the same thing. The only difference is that in hot process, after you finish making your soap, either using the cold method or using the semi-hot method, you proceed further to put your soap over an active flame, usually a low flame, to cook it further. What that does is that it hastens saponification. It forces your acid and your base, that is your alkali. Your acid is your oil, their fatty acids, your oil. It forces your oils with your base. With your base is what? It could be your potassium hydroxide, it could be your sodium hydroxide, usually a strong base. It forces them. Heat acts like a catalyst, force them to come together such that they produce what we call soap, with a byproduct as glycerin or glycerol. Is it also glycerin and water? These are byproducts, okay, that you get from your soap making. Is it also? And after you finish making your soap, what happens? You cure. In the process of curing, the water evaporates and it leaves your soap and your alkali for you. That's all. It leaves your soap for you. Let me not say your soap and your alkali. It leaves your soap for you. That is your oil and your alkali that have turned to your soap. It leaves your soap for you. Your water evaporates and leave your soap for you. If there are any additives to put inside, like your perfumes or your herbs or any other things you add to your soap, those ones also remain. So yes, soap making, hot process soap making, you start it off as cold process. You start it off by mixing your oil and your oil and your alkali and your sodium hydroxide or your potassium hydroxide. You mix them up. Then if it is me, everybody has his own way of doing things. Some people actually add their actives in the lye, which I don't do. Some people add their actives in the oil, which I don't do. If it's me, after I've cooked my soap base, I'll allow it cool a bit before I add in my actives. If even my herbs, it is then I'll add in my herbs. It is then I'm adding in my essential oils. It is then I'm adding in my, if I'm making it medicated, it is then I'm adding it. That is after I've cooked it a little bit and it has cooled off. That's when I add these things. So does cold process have any advantage over hot process, or does hot process have any advantage over cold process? Yes and no. Yes, cold process have advantage over hot process in the sense that you don't cook. It heats up itself in the mold gradually, depending on the way you create your recipe. There are some soaps that will not heat up. Even if they heat up, the heat will not be much because of the way you made them. There are some that will eventually heat up. They might even look, when you pour them, they might look as if they are a bit hard, but later on in the mold they will actually become liquefied and then gel up. That is cold process. So the advantage is that you're not using extra energy to heat up, extra cost to heat up, extra time to heat up. Okay, and then there are some kind of colors that if you want, you get them with cold process, you cannot get them with hot process. Some colors that look, I am not good in colors, in stating it. Is it opaque? They call them opaque or whitish or something like that. You get such colors in cold process, but once you cook the soap, you will not get the same color. For example, how will I put it? For example, a pink color or a yellow color. There is a tone of color you get in cold process you can't get in hot process. In short, some colors, when you need them, you deliberately refuse, don't allow your soap to gel so that you get that color. Do you understand? You deliberately stop your soap from gelling so that you get such a color. So that is just some of the advantages, okay? But if not, then for hot process, what is the advantage of our cold process? The advantage of hot process over cold process is that even though you feel you heat up the soap, if you know how to heat up your soap much, you don't really spend much time in heating up the soap. Do you understand? Then you reduce cure time, because basically once you cook your soap, in some soaps, depending on how you make them, in some soaps you can even use your hand to scoop your soap. It will not even peel your hand. Look at my hands. I made soap yesterday and I used my hands on the soap. I didn't even wear gloves, because after I finished making the soap, I removed the gloves. There were, when I was, before washing my vessels, I was trying to scrape some of the soap that stuck to the pot and to some of the vessels I used in making the soap. Scrape them and then form them into a ball and then keep, which we use for home use. No itching, no pain, no nothing. But if it were cold process soap, I can't do that. Whatever it is, if it's cold process soap, immediately I finish that soap making, I leave everything till the next day before I can even wash. I can't even wash them that day. I have to leave them till the next day. Or even more than that before I'll be able to wash. If not, they'll peel my hands. The tip of my fingers will be pink. They'll be peeling, they'll be paining me. But with hot process, you've already forced everything. So it's faster. So you get a faster cure time. Instead of you to stay for up to 4 weeks, depending on the recipe you make, believe me, you can spend 1 week, highest 2 weeks, you sell your soap, because already you've completed the saponification process. Maybe the only thing you're doing is you're waiting for water to evaporate a little bit and for your soap to harden a little bit. Okay, so I'm looking at the time. I think I've spent about 9 minutes now. I don't want to talk too much. So, but these are just some of the few things I'll say about hot process and cold process soap. Okay, then alcohol in soap. I've already spoken about this. Alcohol melts the soap granules and makes the soap more transparent. It gives you a more smoother soap. That is what alcohol does to your soap. Okay, especially if you're trying to get a transparent bar soap. Okay, so that's what alcohol does. Okay, then sugar facilitates transparency too when you use it together with your alcohol. Sugar also, even if you're not using it for transparency, sugar creates bubbles and salts for you. Hope you know that some of our surfactants are not safe, are not good for people with sensitive skin. Okay, so some people use sugar instead of some of these surfactants to act as foam boosters. Okay, what will make my soap foam well? You add your foam boosters. It could be in the form of your SLS, could come in form of your SLES, it could come in form of your cocoa betaine, it could come in form of your sulfonic acid. There are many surfactants out there. There are good surfactants, mild surfactants that are so good you can even use them as scented bars for baby soap. You can use them as surfactants in your baby soap for baby products. Okay, you can use such, but mind, if you're making a soap for somebody with sensitive skin, please don't use some of these our foam boosters like our SLS and our sulfonic. Don't use them. And also reduce or don't use perfumes are actually not that good for the skin. They are not that, in short, they are not safe for the skin. They are irritants. I will find another time to talk about perfume, but I think for me to do that, I need to get an empty drum of perfume so that you and I will see what they wrote on top of the drums of the perfume. Do you understand? The perfumes are not that safe. It's better you use some essential oils, even if you're going to use fragrance for that, such kind of soaps or products for such persons. Okay. The only thing is that maybe the scent might not be as strong as some of these synthetic perfumes the way you would want. Okay, then what else are we talking about? We are talking about what will make our soap foam. We've already discussed that. Then another thing, glycerin in soap. What glycerin does to your soap is your glycerin also increases. My head is paining me. The glycerin also increases the transparency. Okay, you also use glycerin, especially if you're trying to make transparent, clear, transparent soaps. Okay, you can also use glycerin in such soaps. Glycerins act as humectants also to your soap. Then soda ash in soap making. Your soda ash helps in reducing hardness of water. Remember, your EDTA can also do that. So your soda ash helps in reducing hardness of water. It acts as a builder. It also helps in the cleansing property of your soap. That's why we use soda ash in detergents. We use soda ash in laundry soaps. Okay, your skin is not that dirty that you will need soda ash or that you need such a builder, but we still do put it at times in bathing soap because of the hardness of water. Is it not so? But usually I don't advise adding soda ash in bathing soap. Instead, use your EDTA. Okay, so then that's for soda ash. Then STPP in soap. What does STPP does? STPP stands for sodium tripolyphosphate. Is it not so? What it does is that, at times you make soap that STPP gives us your soap that quality, especially if you're making a cold process, you don't want to cook, even though you can add it in your hot process, that it will give your soap that quality that the soap will look as if it is cooked, as if it's gummy. Do you understand? STPP does that. So generally it acts as chelating agent. It acts as a builder. Okay, it acts as a builder in your soap. It acts as a chelating agent. It gives your soap a certain quality that makes it smooth. Okay, it makes it smooth, kind of help it level up smoothly on the surface also. Not only on the surface, but I'm just telling you, it makes the soap smooth. Okay, then your calcium in soap making. What does your calcium do? Your calcium acts as a filler. It acts as a hardener. Okay, in some cases it even acts as a foam booster. Not that it makes your soap foam, it helps in the boosting of the foaming properties of your soap. Okay, but generally what we usually use it for is as a filler. Okay, and as a hardener. It also adds weight to your soap. Okay, so I didn't want this video to be up to 20 minutes, and by the grace of God this is around 15 minutes, and I think I'm through. Sorry I rushed through everything. Okay, I'm very sorry. I don't want to talk too much. Okay, but if there are any more that you want me to explain for you, please just ask me, and I promise I'll still make a simple video like this and explain for you all. I love you all. Till I see you guys maybe in our Telegram group, or when I hear from you when you ask questions. Have a nice day. Bye.